When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Another day is here, and you're ready for it. What to wear? Check. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Check. Planning for what's next and how to save for it? That's where Bank of America can help. For your financial to-dos, Bank of America has experts ready to help get you closer to your goals. Get started at one of our local financial centers or 24/7 in our mobile banking app. Find a location near you at bankofamerica.com/talktous. What would you like the power to do? Mobile banking requires downloading the app and is only available for select devices. Message and data rates may apply. Bank of America NA, member FDIC.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to anfieldindexpro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Anfield Index Podcast. My name's Trev, Downey. I'm here in my field in beautiful rural Ireland, and I am podcasting, as always, from my little study here, looking out at what is now a lovely evening after we've had some terrible rain today, which ruined a bit of a run. I was at the beach yesterday, Lisa Marie Hanahan, if you can believe that. Yes, a wonderful thing to be able to do in May in Ireland. I went for a long walk on the beach because it was just beautiful. I may have forgotten sunblock and a hat. Yeah, but anyway, look, it's all good. It's all good. How are you?
I am good. It is Mother's Day here in the U.S. today. So I am, of course, being showered with love and affection by my three precious offspring. So yes. and one way to tell you how, just what they think of me is child number 3, my dear daughter, sent me a little TikTok video titled, "There Are Moms Way Worse Than You." And it's this book about mothers within the animal kingdom. So let me just read a slight little excerpt here. And though you'll make some big mistakes, remember this is true. When put into perspective, there are moms way worse than you.
That is so sweet.
You won't be worse than hamster moms, no matter how you try. Sometimes they eat their newborn pups. They still don't yet know why. And it goes on from there with some additional examples.
That is tremendous. That is tremendous.
So yes. So happy Mother's Day to those on this side of the big pond who are celebrating today.
And yeah, I can just feel the gratitude in your voice. I'm sure.
No, I did receive gifts from, actually, Paul has not given me his gift yet, but I know he has it. He's basically told me what it is, but he hasn't given it to me. My children, and I don't know if this is a generational thing or what, but I like to be surprised by the gift that I'm being given. I don't want to know what it is ahead of time. And, they do this at Christmas or even my birthday. They're like, yeah, I got you. I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know until you actually give it to me and I open it so I can be surprised. But yes, it's like, yeah, I went to Barnes & Noble and got your gift. Okay, so likely it's a book. Thank you. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I would almost agree with you, but when my kid was a bit younger, those gifts that were surprises tended to be pretty rubbish. And now he's actually much better with the surprise thing, but the gifts are actually tremendous and thoughtful. So I think that's a thing that just comes with age, actually. So something nice for you to look forward to there across the board.
There's hope. Okay.
There's tremendous amounts of hope. I had written that off as a thing that was not part of my life, and now I keep receiving lovely gifts for Father's Day, for my birthday, for Christmas. Genuinely, thoughtful things, which is lovely. It's a lovely thing, and the surprise aspect is huge too. I think that might be not so much a personality thing, as you say, as more of a generational. It might be a Gen X thing. I think we like to surprise because, there weren't many of them going. So maybe that was it. I'm not trying to say we were all poor, that's not what I'm saying, but I've had a lot of conversations about Gen X versus all the other ones recently. Not confrontational, aggressive ones, but I found myself getting quite defensive of my lot, as the sort of, let's say, more resilient group.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Again, I'm right there with you in the Gen X. So
yeah. I think we're right bang in the middle of that. I think the older ones sort of may have a 6 in their age, and the younger ones probably have a 4 in their age. But that's right. That kind of run, and we're beautifully situated.
I feel like these little generational groups are getting shorter duration than they used to be, I mean, I don't know. Because, you had the baby boomers that were 46 to, 1946 to 1968 or whatever it was. And, this is a pretty good span. But, now you've got coming behind us, you got the millennials and then what's the other one? Now I can't think of what the one after that is called. Gen Z. And then you got
the Zoomers.
Yeah. And then Alpha is the other one now is like the youngest group, ones that are currently. And I think you can't really properly name them until they start reaching that 18, 19-year-old age, I don't know. Anyway, it's just different.
It's hard to see. Yeah, it's hard to see.
It's going to be a whole other podcast.
It is. It is. It's hard to see characteristics outside of the obvious ones. And the obvious ones are brilliantly summarized in this. I don't know if you've seen it. There's a little video that's been doing the rounds for a long time. It's just a dude walking through a sort of a crowded place, and he keeps getting battered by fellow sort of travelers. And so the first guy he bumps into, he just sort of looks around, sort of vaguely irritated, barely knows it. Second one, it says, right, this is a kid from the 1990s, and then he gets sort of a little bit annoyed, shouts something back. Then it's a kid from the 2000s, and he's a bit more angsty. And so basically, as he's going through and getting buffeted by individual people, we're moving on a new generation. And by the end, he's on the ground holding himself, lamenting the audacity of anyone for bumping into him on the street. And it's an awful cliche. And I teach young men, or aspiring men at least, and I know plenty of them are hardy and resilient and all the rest of it. But there is undoubtedly a definitively, clearly seeable, noticeable, I don't like the word softening, but shall we say less? They're definitely less resilient than kids were, and maybe I want to be open to it. Maybe there's something that balances out that they have that kids from our generation don't. But like you said, it's a deeper conversation, and you're well placed to have it. So we may well revisit this one in the summer. And in the summer as well, we'll also have time to have reflected amply, and you will have time to have seen more video footage of the little added extra topic that I wanted to talk to you today about just at the start here in our little initial chat, which is this live stream portal connecting Dublin and New York. And I mean, look, for a guy like myself, the symbolism is hard to avoid. It does have a lot of connotations, the portal thing. And I thought, is this going to be heavy? Is this going to be some sort of cultist thing that I don't like. And then within an hour, like I said to you, there was some Irish lad pulling down his tracksuit bottoms and bearing his arse to New York. And I went, oh, we're okay. It's fine. It's fine. No surprises. Yes. No surprises. So whereas, and you know, on the far side over in New York, there were drunk lads and, you know, fellas off their head doing dances up into it and stuff. It's just like, okay, right, people are just being people. So it's an interesting concept, but I do think there may be more that arises from it. So I'm looking forward to kind of tracking the portal story as we go. But of course, this is a Liverpool-based podcast. We have lots of Liverpool-based news that we can get into. And I just want to start with something that's a little bit close to home and also sort of tangentially linked to what we've already been talking about. Because, of course, you famously have adopted one of the Liverpool youngsters as a nominal sort of honorary Hanahan in the shape of Harvey Elliott. And I saw during the week, much to my delight, I'll have to say, that there were all these player of the season, young player of the season, manager of the season categories that were being put up. And the player of the season is an interesting one. Virgil van Dijk is there for Liverpool. Martin Odegaard, Alexander Isak, Ollie Watkins, Declan Rice, Erling Haaland, Phil Foden, who I presume will get it, and Cole Palmer. Or maybe they'll give it to Odegaard. But young player of the season, Foden's still there, Haaland's still there, and I think he might be pushing around the edges of what's acceptable in young player. Isak's there as well. Mainu from United,
yes.
Udogie from Tottenham, William Saliba from Arsenal, Saka from Arsenal, and Cole Palmer again. So there's quite a lot of crossover there. And I thought, where's Harvey? You know, and I thought, am I guilty of being overly influenced by, you know, the fact that he's had a strong finish to the season and that we are very fond of him over here in this podcast? Do you think he was ever in with a sniff at all? And what do you think about this thing of players up as far as 23 being in the young player category? Because to me, surely that's the early part of your prime.
Yeah, I've actually had an issue with the young player thing for a while now. I mean, even when Trent was still being nominated for it, I'm like, he's been playing. You know, I think there should be a cutoff. Either the age should be lowered, and or if you've been playing in the first team for 3+ years, I don't think you should be eligible for it anymore. You know what I'm saying? If you've kind of broken through, you know, like as I said, Trent was still being nominated for it, and I possibly even won it, which. That's great. But to me, he had already been playing in the first team for probably 4, if not 5 seasons. You're not the young player anymore if you've been playing for the first team longer than a couple years, in my opinion. Yeah. So I've had a bit of an issue. And I also kind of think if you've been nominated as player of the season, you shouldn't be nominated for young player of the season. You know, like, so that crossover you see with, I think, Haaland and Palmer and was it Isak as well? Yeah, I think it kind of should be one or the other, but you know, that's just me. So to me, young player of the season should be the players kind of, I mean, yes, Harvey's been playing kind of first team for a while, but this has been sort of the first year I think he has been consistently playing first team. To me, that's the type of player, biased or not, who should be nominated for this award, you know, this type of award. You know, Cole Palmer, I definitely see he has had very much, you know, a very good season for Chelsea. And so, yeah, but I think the definition, I think they just need to look at the criteria or the definition of that young player of the season award, in my opinion, because you're right. Once you hit 23, 24, you should kind of be in the prime of your career. You should no longer really be considered a young player.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's sad but true. I mean, obviously there are people who are playing well into their 30s now, and
absolutely,
you know, But at the same time, you should be an established player at that age, I would have thought. Look, it's a weird one. I don't really have any issue with any of the people nominated, and realistically speaking, I think it would have been a shout for Harvey to get in anyway. So I don't really have an issue with any of the people who are nominated, as in they've had good seasons. I think it's probably going to be between Odegaard and Foden for player of the season, and if Foden gets player of the season, he's not going to get young player of the season, or vice versa. So then the young player of the season, who knows? They're like, again, if Arsenal do it, maybe it'll be one of their two that gets it. It's hard to know. But I think, am I right in saying, because I can't bring myself to watch anything else at the moment, I'm honest to God, I have no interest. I will watch the Champions League final for the first time that Liverpool are not involved in it since we've been a force in Europe again this year. But I'm just watching semi-finals or any of that crack. It has no appeal to me whatsoever. I will watch it just because there is a potential David and Goliath situation, and I will be obviously rooting against Real Madrid in the biggest possible way. But aside from that, if that goes about 2-0 after 10 minutes, that'll be going straight off. But I couldn't bring myself to watch today as the uselessness that was Manchester United faced up against Arsenal to absolutely confirm that we cannot win the league. I assume they went ahead and won, did they?
I have no idea. Couldn't tell you.
I will check. I was going
to say, I'll look it up real quick if you want me to, but yeah, could not tell you.
Yes, they did indeed win 1-0. Arsenal won 1-0. So that means that if you're hanging on to some distant hope that we could possibly win the league, it's all over, I'm afraid, lads. They are now on 86 points with 37 games played. City have 36 games played, one less, and they are a point behind Arsenal. You would have to say that City, therefore, are looking like they're likely to win this. And here's a question I have for you. And this matters to me not obviously what you say is what you say, but this matters to me personally in a way that I didn't think it would. As we're coming to the sharp end now, Liverpool are now mathematically confirmed as incapable of being champions. It does actually matter to me who wins the league, and I have a different take than I think an awful lot of people have. I think an awful lot of people will think, oh look, Arsenal have been good now for a couple of years and they're a team on the rise, and basically anyone but City I'm okay with. And I can see that, and I actually understand that argument very strongly. And I can understand people maybe who don't have a great beef against Arsenal specifically and have a lot more against City and think of City as the bad guys and all the rest of it. I'm going to give you my own warped take on it, because I actually want City to win the league. Because the reason I want City to win the league, Lisa Marie, is because it doesn't matter. That's why. It doesn't matter. They win another league. Who cares? Who cares? It's just City win another league. Nobody actually cares. Most of football, despite all the things they say, just shrug. And most of football have that sort of quiet thing of, yeah, but in the back of their head. You know, the pundits will do all the stuff that they have to do. The ex-pros who go on Sky and TNT and all the rest of them, they'll talk up City, they'll talk up the players, and they should do, because they're good footballers and they're a good football team. And God forgive me, they have good manager wrangling star players into championship winning teams, but nobody cares, you know. And I think there might be way too much emphasis on what might happen in terms of these charges. But regardless, to me, it's a non-event. Just City win another thing. The cards are so stacked in their favour. Does that make any sense to you, or do you think I'm a lunatic?
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac, and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit libertyshield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
No, it makes absolute sense to me for many of the same reasons, but in my mind, I do not. You're right. I mean, I hadn't really thought of it exactly the way you said it, but you're right. I don't want Arsenal to win the league because I don't want to have to listen to their fan base and everything else. I don't think I could take it. And it is because, yes, they will definitely be out there and vocal. And yeah, it does seem as though no matter how many times City win the league, yeah, it's just kind of like, all right, yeah, they won another one. It's kind of to be expected, if you will. And, while, yes, their manager can kind of get on my nerves, he is a good manager, and while I don't necessarily care for a couple of their players, they are good players. So I hate to be boring and agree with you, but I do. I would prefer City win the league.
Yeah, to me, it's just the last thing I want to see.
The lesser of two evils.
It is the lesser of two evils, and the last thing I want to see is another rival established, another team that is racking up trophies at any rate whatsoever. I just don't want to see it, and I have this feeling that it might just sort of finish Arsenal off a little bit psychologically and put us in a much better standing when it comes to the campaign next year, which is a very selfish way of looking at it too, and I don't care because what are we if we're not one-eyed on the Liverpool podcast? So that was just by the way. I just wanted to float that subject out there because I was curious what you would make of it. The manager of the year one is one I want to come back to. So the people in the category for manager of the year are the aforementioned Guardiola and the aforementioned Arteta. And making up the numbers then, and I think it is making up the numbers because I don't see anyone outside of one of them winning it, are Unai Emery, who has secured Champions League football for Aston Villa, I'm pretty sure, but went out at the tail end of that competition they were in Europe. And there's also Downey, who has done a pretty impressive job at Bournemouth. And obviously then Jürgen Klopp, who had Liverpool in the running for the league until the last month or so and has a trophy. Now, I would imagine that there's very little doubt that the manager of the season award will probably go to the person whose team finally gets over the line here in the league. I'm not sure when the voting has to be in, but that's what I would have assumed. Maybe it has to be in before that.
I think it is before. I don't know. I mean, I guess it kind of depends. This year it is sort of running fairly close to the very last day. But I meant to look at that too, because I was like, oh, well, they're just going to give it to whoever wins the league. But I'm like, well, but they award it before, I think, the end. I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, wouldn't you just like to see somebody get it, like Areola for what he's done at Bournemouth? I mean, I just sometimes feel like it's just like give it to somebody who has really had, Guardiola, he's got that team. He's got all that money at his disposal to buy whoever and whatever he wants. Is it really a challenge, to put a great team together? No, not particularly. Klopp, I think there's a good shout for, how things did not go well last year and, did a pretty good job of turning it around. And, there's the sentimental, it's his last season. It would, be nice to see him, win it. He has won it previously, I'm pretty sure. But they're probably going to give it to either Guardiola or Arteta, just because.
I think it is just because, yeah, and it'll be unsurprising. And look, if Arsenal did win the league and Arteta won Manager of the Year, you couldn't really argue it. You couldn't really argue with it, because anyone taking the prize away from Manchester City has done a hell of a job. I just don't really want to be having that conversation, and I really hope we won't be. I'm deeply uncomfortable even thinking about it, to be honest. Obviously, again, just to try and keep a little connection between all of these, we just mentioned Jürgen Klopp, and there's a couple of Klopp-related topics I wanted to talk about. First of all, is kind of linking back to the Harvey Elliott thing, and there was some interesting comments from him recently, and I think people have been hoping that Klopp would just go, as they say over here, buck wild in the last couple of weeks of his tenure and just say all sorts to the press, and just start, it's just shots fired left, right, and centre. But it's been, I think, a little bit tame by comparison to what some people were hoping for. One thing he did say, which I thought was a bit odd, I'm almost positive I heard Dave talk about this on his show, but I was listening to Dave's show in a highly stressful scenario while I was sort of waiting for something else to happen. So it kind of went over my head, but I'm fairly sure he mentioned it. And so apologies if I'm echoing something that he's already said, and maybe like if he implanted this idea in my head, but I thought it was a bit. So basically he said the gist of it was, that he kind of has regret that he didn't play Harvey more. I think it was words to that effect. I don't have the exact quote here.
Yeah, but yes, words to that effect. You're right.
Words to that effect. And so I'm thinking that's an odd regret to have. And it's an odd thing to say. And then I just thought, well, don't read too much into it, Trev. It's just a nice thing that he's saying about a young player. And I think that's probably all there is to it, really, isn't there? Because, I think the gist, if I remember correctly, of what Dave was saying was like, do you not have some regrets about some other stuff there, Jürgen? And I think, fair enough. But that's not really the point I'm driving at. The point I'm driving at is it's a funny thing to do, to single the lad out towards the end. Or is it? Is it just another example of Klopp being a good lad and giving a fella a boost and a sort of a parting present? I mean, what did you make of it?
I think it's probably somewhere in the middle of all of that. I kind of had the same first thought was, I'm like, well, I think Harvey's played just about every game. I mean, not certainly. Maybe what he really meant was he wished he'd started him more. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was the gist. Yeah.
But he's gotten quite a few minutes this year. So I don't think even I, his honorary mother, could feel that he's been neglected.
Yeah.
So, maybe it is just, again, coming off of, the game he had against Tottenham, last weekend, where he did play, very, very well, had that phenomenal goal, all the things. So maybe it was just, maybe what was in his mind is, wow, maybe if I'd started him more, we might have seen more performances like that. Who knows? But maybe he is trying to kind of put him in the window a bit more, if you will, for the next manager. I don't know, but I did think it was kind of a sort of an odd thing. It didn't exactly make sense of all the players. Because again, I think Harvey's gotten plenty of playing time this season. So it was a bit of a weird one.
Yeah. And I probably just best leave it as that. It was just probably something that occurred to him, and maybe he is just doing that kind of stream of consciousness thing as and a little bit less guarded than he would have been, and we're possibly reading too much into it, and it was just a nice thing to be saying about a guy who he rates, who's a youngster that has stepped up to the plate for him, and it's just another moment of loyalty. There is an opportunity, it looks like, at least for me, for fans to say goodbye to Jürgen, and this is kind of where I wanted to finish our conversation this evening on this whole concept, because we've been pulling it off, but then I just looked at the schedule before we were recording this evening, and basically I'm looking at the clock here now, it's 20 to 8, so it's just like 20 minutes more than 24 hours we'll see the penultimate game of the season at Villa Park. And that's going to be a weird one. It could have very after the Lord Mayor's show about it, because you've got two teams and neither of them really care. There's not a whole lot to be achieved. Villa have their Champions League thing nailed. They can't really catch us in third. We can't catch anyone or be caught. And it's just kind of, I can see a lack of intensity about that particular game. And then that's Monday Night Football. It's a bit weird that it's Monday Night Football, but I'm sure that when the scheduling was done, it was done with a view that Liverpool might still be involved. And then that game could have been absolutely fucking huge, of course, because Villa were doing well early on when the scheduling was done as well. And then you've got Liverpool Wolves on the Sunday following. So from the 13th, is it? To the 19th. 13th, yeah. Just a 6-day turnaround to the season being completed at Anfield. And so that's where I kind of want to sort of segue into this topic, because that's the opportunity for fans to say goodbye. And a lot of us, I think yourself included, had been hoping that we could sort of put ourselves into financial hock and do a sort of a last minute dash over to celebrate something wonderful at the end of the year with this guy who's been such a transformative figure at the club and is irreplaceable in many ways. It's not, it's not going to be the same. And that doesn't mean it can't be better. And it doesn't mean that it can't, that different is always bad. It doesn't mean that at all. But it's simply not going to be the same without this dude, who has been such a sort of, lightning rod and focal point. And so there's going to be an opportunity to say goodbye to him in the more traditional way at the last game of the season. Obviously, there'll be the walk around afterwards with players and their kids and a wave around, and the League Cup be thrown around the place, and lads can have their families there. And I would be very surprised, Lisa Marie, if there isn't a microphone making its way out to the centre circle at some point or other. When Ferguson left United, that was a thing, and obviously that was a much longer stint. But this is a fairly monumental, if comparatively brief, epoch in Liverpool history as well. And I think it'll need marking. I'd be amazed if Jürgen isn't presented with a microphone at some point to be saying something to the assembled masses. First of all, there's that. And then to set this up, on the 28th of May, so that is, I think, a Tuesday night. It's a full week, and then the Monday, and then the Tuesday night, the 28th of May, in the city, in the M&S Bank Arena, there is an evening with Jürgen Klopp, which is obviously designed as a kind of a farewell event as well. They've got music from local Liverpool bands, the Lightning Seeds, the Zootons, Alfie Boe. They've got John Bishop, the comedian, who's going to be co-hosting it with Peter McDowell, who does a lot of the work for the club. So it's obviously an official club event being presented by LFC, and I think it says AEG here, an evening with Jürgen Klopp. Couple of things I'm looking forward to talking to you about here. But first of all, as in a general way, as it's winding down now spectacularly, 2 games to go, one in 24 hours and then one the following Sunday, possibly we will have one more chat before then, but we may not, just the way things work out. It feels a bit mad to be saying that. The end, when it's come, has come fast.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at anfieldindexpro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, anfieldindexpro.com. Join today.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Girl, have you heard about what's happening on June 20th?
Tell me, I want to know.
Well, we want our sisters to live longer. And June 20th is when women of color can come get a free health screening, mammogram, exam, talk to a doctor, and you can bring young ladies 13 to 17 too.
So it's a free doctor's appointment?
Girl, yes, and it's going to be a blast.
Women of Columbus, join us Thursday, June 20th, 2 to 7 p.m. at St. Charles Prep for a chance to change your life.
Brought to you by the African American Male Wellness Agency and Uplifter. Sponsored by National Center for Urban Solutions, Abbott, Gentech, NBC4, CareSource, Franklin County Board of Commissioners, CMHA, Lifeline of Ohio, Exact Sciences, ADAMH, Victoria's Secrets, and MPCH.